Welcome to ReadPulse. In this video, we'll explore the book Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. This thought-provoking book delves into the psychology of human thinking and decision-making, presenting key insights on how our minds work. Daniel Kahneman is a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist known for his work on the psychology of judgment and decision-making. His groundbreaking research, often conducted with his collaborator Amos Tversky, has had a profound impact on economics, psychology, and behavioral science. Thinking, Fast and Slow encapsulates decades of his research and provides readers with a deep understanding of how our minds function. So let us start this book's summary with a moral story so that the main theme of this book can be understood easily. In a small town, there lived a wise old professor named Mr. Smith. He had spent his life studying the human mind and its complexities. One day, a young student named Jake approached Mr. Smith, troubled by his struggles with making decisions. Mr. Smith welcomed Jake and decided to help him understand the two modes of thinking that everyone possesses: fast thinking and slow thinking. He began by explaining, "Jake, fast thinking is like a reflex. It's quick, automatic, and based on intuition. For example, when you see a red light, you stop immediately without much thought." To illustrate this, Mr. Smith asked Jake to walk around the town and notice the traffic lights. Whenever Jake saw a red light, he stopped instantly, realizing how his fast thinking helped him make quick decisions in familiar situations. Next, Mr. Smith wanted Jake to experience slow thinking. He handed Jake a difficult math problem to solve. "Take your time to analyze and calculate the answer," he said. Jake sat down and carefully worked through the math problem, understanding how slow thinking was essential for solving complex problems and making thoughtful decisions. As Jake spent the day reflecting on his thinking processes, he noticed that he used fast thinking for routine tasks like crossing the street or recognizing familiar faces. For more complex tasks, like planning his studies or making important decisions, he engaged his slow thinking. Mr. Smith advised Jake, "It's important to be aware of these two systems of thinking and use them wisely. When you need to make a quick decision, trust your fast thinking. But when you need to make an important or complex decision, take your time and engage your slow thinking." Jake applied this advice in his daily life. He became more confident in his decision-making abilities, knowing when to rely on his instincts and when to take a step back and think things through. The moral of the story is that by understanding and balancing our fast and slow thinking, we can make better decisions and navigate life more effectively. It's about knowing when to trust our intuition and when to engage in careful analysis. Thinking, Fast and Slow presents a comprehensive exploration of the two systems of thought and their implications on our decision-making. System 1. Fast thinking. System 1 is our fast, automatic way of thinking. It's intuitive and quick, allowing us to make snap judgments based on past experiences and instincts. This type of thinking happens effortlessly and without conscious thought. For instance, when you instantly recognize someone you know in a crowded place, your brain is using System 1. Similarly, when you solve a simple math problem like 2 plus 2, it comes to you automatically without much effort. System 1 is great for everyday tasks that require quick decisions and actions. It helps us navigate familiar situations smoothly and efficiently. However, because it relies on intuition and past experiences, it can sometimes lead to errors or biases in our judgment. Understanding when to use this fast thinking and when to switch to a more deliberate and analytical approach can help us make better decisions and respond more effectively to different situations in life. System 2. Slow thinking. System 2 is our slow, deliberate way of thinking. It requires effort and is analytical, engaging in logical reasoning and careful consideration. This type of thinking is essential for solving complex problems and making thoughtful decisions. For instance, when you're working on a difficult math problem, you need to take your time to analyze and calculate the answer. Similarly, when making a significant life decision, Like buying a house, you weigh the pros and cons, consider your options, and think through the potential consequences. System 2 is particularly useful for situations that require deep thought, planning, and problem solving. It helps us navigate complicated decisions and understand the details of complex issues. While it takes more time and mental energy, using System 2 ensures that we make well-considered and rational choices. Balancing this slow thinking with our fast, intuitive thinking allows us to respond effectively to various situations in life. In this book, the author focuses on the various factors that affect our way of thinking in day-to-day life. Number 1. Cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are patterns of thinking that can distort our judgment and lead to errors. Daniel Kahneman explores many of these biases in his book, such as overconfidence, loss aversion, and anchoring. Overconfidence bias occurs when people overestimate their abilities or the accuracy of their knowledge. For example, someone might underestimate the difficulty of a task, believing they can complete it easily, which can lead to mistakes or failure. Loss aversion is the tendency to fear losses more than we value gains. This means that losing something often feels more painful than the pleasure we get from gaining something of equal value. For instance, people are generally more upset about losing $100 than they are happy about gaining $100. Anchoring refers to the habit of relying too heavily on the first piece of information encountered, that anchor, when making decisions. For example, if you're buying a car and the first price you see is very high, you might perceive subsequent prices as more reasonable, even if they're still higher than the car's actual value. By understanding these biases, we can recognize when they influence our decisions and take steps to think more rationally. Number 2. Heuristic. Heuristics are mental shortcuts that help us make quick decisions. Our fast thinking, System 1, uses heuristics to simplify complex problems. While these shortcuts are useful in many situations, they can also lead to mistakes. One common heuristic is the availability heuristic. This means we judge how likely something is based on how easily we can think of examples. For instance, if you hear about a plane crash on the news, you might start to believe that plane crashes are more common than they actually are, just because the event is fresh in your mind. Heuristics save us time and effort, but they can also cause us to overlook important information or make biased decisions. By being aware of these mental shortcuts, we can better understand how our mind works and make more accurate judgments. Number 3. Prospect theory. Prospect theory is a concept developed by Daniel Kahneman that explains how people evaluate potential losses and gains. The theory shows that people are generally more afraid of losing something than they are excited about gaining something of the same value. This tendency leads to risk-averse behavior. For example, if given a choice between losing $100 or gaining $100, most people would strongly prefer to avoid the $100 loss rather than focusing on the potential $100 gain. Even though the amounts are the same, the pain of losing feels more intense than the joy of gaining. This means people might make decisions that minimize losses rather than maximizing gains, even if it isn't the most rational choice. Prospect theory helps us understand why people sometimes make decisions that seem illogical or overly cautious. By recognizing this tendency, we can become more aware of our decision-making processes and strive to make more balanced and rational choices. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman provides profound insights into the workings of the human mind and the factors that influence our decisions. By understanding the interplay between fast and slow thinking, as well as the cognitive biases that affect us, we can make more informed and rational choices. Thank you for tuning in to ReadPulse. We hope this audiobook summary has provided valuable insights to help you on your journey to better decision-making and self-awareness. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep striving for a better understanding of yourself and the world.
Get the pulse of progress with ReadPulse.